All right, let's take a look at where we left off last time. We have a very basic main menu with a single start button. You can select a character, you can walk up to a princess, and let's see if I can get over this dude. Too short. I'm just going to adjust this really quick. Actually, I'll just select a different character. But there's a fatal flaw in our thing, and that's where like our letter doesn't disappear. So we need something like a quest manager that's going to manage whether our quest is complete. So, for example, I give him the letter. We also need that quest manager to kind of update this, and really, we might do this in a future tutorial, but we really should break the quests out just for simplicity to King Quest, and then he has a quest. But we could update that script too. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, but you could make a single script that just affects this king if he's like a player that's always going to be seen, and we could alternate quests that way. Another thing is I already gave him the letter. This letter should disappear, and this dialogue should change. So let's go ahead and start by creating a script. So right click in here and go to create C# script and create the script called Quest Manager. And I'm going to go ahead and open this up and just kind of type out the code, and we'll go through it together. It's going to be pretty similar to any code that we wrote before. Anything that's like really stands out, I'll definitely spend more time on. All right, so here's our script. Let me zoom in just a little bit here. Now, this is a instance or singleton that we've talked about these before, where really it's just of the same type. The data type is the same, and it's a public static variable with the same type as our class, and this allows us to have access to everything in the script. The next line of code here on 7 is something called a numerator or an enum. You'll hear a lot, and really you can just create a list of objects. Like I can make an enum called fruit and put a bunch of fruit in there, and it's just a way of creating a list of things. I'm going to use it to create a state or state machine. So we have a public enum called quest status, and it has not started, in progress, and completed. So there's 3 states in here. And this is going to be useful because if we have a quest that has not started yet, which is going to be our default, that's like before the princess gives the letter, then once we get the letter, we're going to mark it to in progress. And then once we get to the king, we're going to mark it as completed. Now, I'm going to introduce a much more detailed version in our next class, our Game Development 2 class, where we do the RPG. But for now, this is a great way of understanding state machines as well as like a quest system. The next thing here might look a little confusing. It's another variable here, and all it is it's of the same type as quest status. And what this is saying is, hey, we're going to make this variable of the type quest status, but the current quest status is not started. So right off the bat, we're just setting it to not started. We've seen this before with other scripts. All this does is it helps us persist this, because maybe we want to use this quest manager. We definitely want to use this quest manager again across multiple levels and just keep track. Like we're kind of leaving this stage of game development where it's like Mario Brothers, where it's completely linear. You want to let people feel that your game is still an RPG, even if it's a platformer. So I should be able to go back and complete a quest in the previous level that I skipped over out of laziness, and then I go to the next level, or if there's something you really want the player to do in level 1 and they didn't do it before they got to level 2, this is kind of a nice way to keep track of your entire quest throughout the level. Or even like maybe you meet the king's sister, the queen of the other level, and she's like, "Hey, I see that you met my king, my brother, the queen." So you can keep track of that, and that's really this simple line of code here, where it's like I'm not going to destroy this script or this quest manager as you go through levels. I'm just going to persist it. But if we do happen to have one, so we have if instance is the same as null, we're going to make one. But if instance is not equal to null, which means we have a quest manager in our scene, we're just going to destroy that additional quest manager. It's just a checking stopgap. Now you can see that we have a very simple method here. It's just start quest. And we have an if statement. If our current quest is status equals not started, and we know it is because we set it to not started up here. If our current status is set to not started, our current quest status is going to be quest status dot in progress, right? And so what we do is, remember, we have this here. By writing the name here of our enum, it gives us the option. So let me go ahead and just show you that really quick. So quest status dot, you can see it gives me these three options: completed, in progress, or whatever. So we're going to set it. We're going to start our quest to in progress, and then we're just going to spit this out to the console, right? Then we have method to complete the quest. Now, public void complete quest. This is what we're going to call from the king. And this is saying if the current quest status is the same as in progress. And we know it is because at this point we called this from our queen, our mushroom queen, our mushroom princess. If it's in progress and we got to the king, I can just call this method and it'll set my current quest to completed. Pretty nice. And then as you enter new levels, like we have that load level manager, maybe we want to just wipe out all the quests so we start fresh quests. And so we just built out this very simple reset quest status. It's got a debug message in here that's just letting us know that the quests have been reset. But really, it's just all we're doing is current quest status, which we use over and over again. We just set it back to not started. So I'm going to save that. Now you might be wondering, well, okay, how do I use it? So let's go back to Unity for a moment. And you can see here, I've created I just right clicked, created empty game object here, and I just renamed it Quest Manager. And then what I did is I grabbed this Quest Manager script we just did and we dropped it in here. Now it's set to not started by default because if you recall, I kind of like to see things in, let's see, real time. So I set this to public. So we should be able to see it in theory, update in the editor. Certain things don't. I don't remember everything that doesn't. I know like for example, lists, it won't update the name in real time as you add it and make it public, but I think this will. All right, so I'm just going to save my level here. And then let's work on the next script, which is our quest giver script. All right, so we have some very basic stuff. This just shows our dialogue and then it shows the object. And then this hides it. What I want to do is I want to really major league rework this on trigger enter and some of these variables. So you can keep this here. What I'm going to do is just kind of, I think I'm going to pause the video and I'm just going to sort of rework the guts inside of, this is from line 18 to 25. I'm going to rework the inside here. And maybe add a few variables here. I think I'm going to add back in the names, the string of the quest, those public strings, and then, well, here, let me pause the video and let's go through it. All right, and just for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to run through this script again. Again, take notes, have some coffee. Hopefully it's not too boring going over old code. I tend to love it. But anyway, we have our dialogue manager here. And remember, this is just assigning the text in the panel box and stuff. Object interaction has to do with our letter. Public sprite, character sprite. Remember, this is what goes inside of the image of the character that goes inside the quest giver box here. And then we just have a Boolean, which is true or false. Is just checking, has our quest started? So is quest started is more of a generic way that we do it in coding language. Sometimes you'll even see is quest started and they'll put a question mark at the end, which is interesting. Then we have some dialogue. I just kind of added it here just to show you in script how it'll switch between them because we don't want it to just keep saying, please deliver the letter to the king. Like if we go back, we want him to say, have you delivered the letter yet? And then once we get to the completion dialogue, which is our king, we wanted to say, thank you for delivering the letter. And this is all going to get switched based on this case switch statement, which we covered before, but it's kind of nice to see it again or use it for another purpose. So we're familiar with triggers, right? We walk in and then we have this variable here called other, which is storing a reference to anything that we bump into in the scene. So if the other object, remember, quest giver is on the princess, it's on the king and anybody else. If we bump into somebody called player, we do this switch. Quest manager dot instance current quest status. Okay, what's happening here? Well, if you remember, our current quest status right off the bat is set to not started, right? Let's go all the way up to the top here. So our current quest status is not started. So if, oh, sorry, where did we leave off? Okay, here we go. So we're going to switch based on that. So we are currently not started. So in case our status is set to not started, which we know it's not, we're going to do some switching. If is quest starter, right? Remember we have this is set to true. So if this is true, and we know it is because we set it to true right off the beginning, our dialog manager .show dialog is going to have two pieces of data. The information we want to start the level at, so we're passing this in, and the image of our character sprite. So where is this? So I'm going to click on show dialog. I'm just going to press F12 on my keyboard. Remember, we have this very simple dialog manager here. So what are we passing in? We're passing in text and a picture. And the code is very simple inside of here. What are we doing? We grab our dialog panel, we turn it on, because right now it's off in our scene. And then we pass in this text, right? The start quest dialog. It says, please deliver this letter to the king. And we also pass in inside of Unity that image, right? Like here's our princess mushroom. And if we look at our quest giver script here, it's the girl mushroom sprite. Now I might, because I edited the code, here's something to be aware of. Here's my king. Oh no, it kept it mushroom. So sometimes you'll edit code that you use on both multiple objects and it'll just default to whatever the first object is. It's kind of nice that it kept the mushroom king image here. Perfect. Okay, let's go back. And ooh, it looks like I have multiple copies of this one. I didn't realize that. And then quest manager.instance equals start quest. So let's go back to our quest manager here. So what are we doing? Start quest. So now we call start quest, and all this does what? If our current set is set to not started, which is our first element, all we do is we change it to in progress. The beauty behind this is when we hit start quest, or we call it here, and we set it to in progress, and I have some extra logic here. This is like if you talk to somebody and it's not, it's different. We'll work on that stuff later. Once we start that, we can break out of this if statement, right? And we're going to check the next thing. So now we are actually in progress, right? Because this whole chunk here, this case statement here, is just checking, is our current status set to not start? Well, what happens if we are in progress? Because we now just switched it to in progress. Well, we do the same thing. If it is not, if our quest is not a starter, right? What does that mean? Well, remember, we are now in our quest. We are in progress. Our quest doesn't need to be is quest starter. We're set to false. So if it's set to false, right? Our quest manager .instance is set to complete. And then we're going to show the next dialog, which is the completion dialog. That's this right here. Thank you for delivering the letter. Character spray. Now here's the last thing. This is in progress. We have completion dialog. Now, let's see if there's anything else I'm missing as we go through this. Nope. I mean, it's just kind of nice. Like we have our in progress dialog. We have in progress dialog here. And what this in progress dialog is it says, have you delivered the letter yet? So that way we go back to the mushroom princess and then she's like, hey, she doesn't just keep saying, can you please deliver this letter to the king? You already have it. So have you delivered the letter yet? It says public string in progress. Have you delivered the letter? Yes. So we don't respond. Our character can't talk. But if we go through this case statement here, if we are in progress, we show the in progress dialog and we keep that same character sprite. If is not quite quit starter, then we show the completion. And then we have a last check, which is if we are completed, we show the completed dialog. Something else we can do is we can add one line of code here is because we want this is if we completed, we're going to call the completed method, and we could put it in here too. Is remember object interaction? I'm going to hit F12 on this so we can go to the script. What this is doing, we want to hit F12 on show object, which will take us to the object interaction script and show object here. We have this hide object here, and this is what hides the letter. And remember, if we get to completed the quest, we want to hide the object. Now, remember, this is generic. We could put anything in there, not just the letter. So any of our future quests that we want to show an image, like maybe the next letter, the letter to the king is like, oh, we are being overrun by these mushroom guys and we need to kind of get rid of them. We need to capture them all. And maybe we'll do like a Pokemon thing where we take the guys. But what we can do here is we can just change that image from the letter to a Pokeball. So for now, notice we have this interaction show object. Well, I want to call hide object. So what I'll do here is I'll just grab object interaction and in two spots, because remember, we're checking in two places, if instance.complete quest and if we complete it, right? Like if it is not a quest, this thing, we're going to call this. So let's just set it for here for now. We'll do this dot hide object, that method, and I'm going to save this. And really, this stays the same, right? This is our dialog manager.hide, and that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and test this out in Unity. Let's close this guy out. So I'm going to press play. Now, what we're going to have to do is actually, just to test this, I grabbed Sally and I dropped her in the scene. So let me go ahead and delete this. Our quest manager stays the same. I don't think there's anything else I really changed. So I dropped Sally in. Let's grab Sally and let's move her over here. And let's go ahead and press play. And now when I walk up to this mushroom here, our mushroom princess, we see, please deliver the letter to the king. And then I leave and I go back. It says, have you delivered the letter yet? Like, come on, what's going on here? We hired you for free. Now let's go talk to the king and let's see if it changes his dialogue, right? Because the king's dialogue should say, thank you for delivering the letter. And we should not see this anymore. So we do that and it says, have you delivered the letter yet? Now, the thing is, we never actually close. I think we need to do one other spot where it is completed. Let's do this. Hold on. We mark it to complete. We put it here. And I think that should do it. Let's test it one more time. And let's actually open up our console. I don't think I. Oh yeah, quest has started. You can see our quest has started there. And actually, something else I want to check is, where's our quest manager? Oh, it's going to go under this do not destroy unload section here. Yeah, in progress. Okay, cool. So we don't even need to look at our console. And then, have you started yet? It's not calling completed. Thank you for delivering the letter. It is not marked as completed. Try that one more time, and then what I'm going to do is just look at my code. Pause the video and look at my code. Kind of rushed through that last section. See, we're in progress. Oh, I think I didn't set it to have you delivered. Yeah, in progress. Have you delivered the letter yet? Interesting. You know what I think I'm going to do? I keep talking about this single responsibility principle or single responsibility theory. I'm kind of like stuffing all of this stuff into the quest giver script here. I think we should just break out a little bit of the logic, especially because I plan on using this king again and again, even in different interactions, or even the queen, like a queen character. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make a king script. All right, so I set up this simple scene really quick to show you. I have like a new king script that we're going to do instead. So we'll leave quest giver for the princess, but I just decided, and we'll make it really simple. It's going to be a lot of the same logic copied. So I jump over this mushroom here. I walk up to the king, and the king's like, "Hey, please speak to the princess to get your task." Right? And I can adjust that time that it shows up on the screen. I want to teach you something else that's pretty new and it's pretty easy to use. It's like this invoke method. So now if I bring this princess down here, you can see if I go over here, she's like, hey, please deliver this letter to the king. The letter appears. I go back in. She says, have you delivered the letter yet? And so now when I go this way and I go back to the king, we can see, thank you for delivering the letter. And it deletes that box and the letter from the scene. So let's take a look at how that script is. It's a pretty simple script. It's nothing too crazy. Let me move my princess down here. But so right click, let's see. You want to right click in here, go to create C# if you haven't already, and then just make a new script called king script. And then I just duplicated my my king here. So let me delete this guy out. So here's my mushroom king, and I hit Control D to duplicate that. And then I'm going to hide my initial king. So just so you have it in case you need it. And then this is my new king. I'm going to remove the quest giver component. And then I'm going to grab this king script and drop it on here. Don't worry about this stuff yet. We'll set this up when we get back into the scene. So I'm going to pause the video and then I'm going to open up the king script and you can take a look at the code together. All right. So we have a couple things going on here. This is all stuff you've seen before. So I'm going to run through it pretty quickly. We have a dialog manager. This is what controls remember, both of these scripts are attached to our canvas, by the way. We have a dialog manager that controls that dialog box. We have an object interaction script, which is our letter. And then we have a bunch of dialogue that I built in here just for us to kind of go through, for the king. So it's like, thanks for delivering the letter. If you already completed the dialogue, thank you once again for your help. So you go back to the script, the king, he says this, and then a third one, it says not started dialogue. Hey, please speak to the princess. So if you somehow manage to get past the princess, you've seen that. And then here's the character sprite of the king, picture of our king. And so I have that same on trigger enter. So when we enter, the king is checking if we're talking to the player. If we are, we're going to go into the quest manager and we're going to check whatever the current status of our quest is. And you remember by default, it's always set to, if we go to our quest manager here, it's always set to not started at the very beginning. Unless you talk to the princess, and if that's the case, then we'll go through this. So that means if you talk to the princess, we are in progress. And we're just going to kind of look at our case statements. This one is completed, and then this default is not started dialogue. Default means if it doesn't match either of these states, which is in progress or completed, let me space these out so you can see that a little better. Then what we're saying here is, hey, you haven't talked to the princess yet, and we need to use this not started dialogue. So there's some comments here which could be confusing. Not confusing. They're to help you clarify, but it makes it look like the code is more bigger than it actually is. Like there's more content there. So all we're doing is we're saying, hey, quest manager instance, we're going to set it to complete quest. So if I hit F12 on complete quest, you can go back here and you can remember all this is doing is it's setting our current status to completed. So if we are in progress, right, then we're going to mark our status to complete quest. And remember, this is all triggered when we walk right into that king. And then we're going to show our dialogue manager with the complete dialogue text there. And same thing here. And when you code this, make sure to include all these comments. So same thing here. If we are already completed, we just need a message to let them know that, hey, you already completed this task. Maybe you should exit through the door behind me or something. And then there's this default dialogue manager. And this is really just saying, hey, go talk to the princess. Now, all of these, I did this thing called invoke, which is a really cool method, and it's built into Unity. And you can call a method, so hide interaction, which is this method here, based on a certain amount of time. See how there's this time? And I want to clarify, please don't type out method name : That's just them explaining what this does. And we could create a public variable here if it helps. Let's see, public, float or int, it's up to you. Time to show message. And right off the bat, we can set it to like 1 or something. And then I can use this this method here, time to show message, and I can just drop it in here. And what's nice about this is we can now set this inside of our editor. So let me save this. We'll go back to Unity right now. We can set this, see time to show message, and it's still spelled wrong. Okay, to like 2 if 1 is too fast. And that'll set it for 2 seconds. So now I'm going to go ahead and play through. Oh, it's going to give me some errors because we have these null references. We have a bunch of stuff going on here on our king. So we definitely need our Mushroom King image. And then we just really have to drag the canvas in twice. Because remember, the canvas has our dialogue manager script and our object interaction script on it. Remember those? So now let's take a look at our Mushroom King here. And really, we should make I think we did this in a previous, we made a Mushroom King prefab, but I didn't drag it back in. So I might just delete this prefab out and then drag my new Mushroom King prefab here. There we go. Now that locked it in. And I'm going to rename this prefab from Mushroom King 1 to just Mushroom King. And that now you can see that has our new king script on it. And then in here, I'm just going to get rid of that 1. And then make sure that I just hit apply all if it's already grayed out. All right, let's play through the level. And let's try to beat this level. So here we go. Talk to the princess. Please deliver this letter. I'm going to leave. Hey, you didn't deliver the letter yet. Oh, sorry, princess. All right, let me go find the king. And like, because we have this invoke thing, it says, thank you for delivering the letter. And it only lasted 2 seconds. So you might be like, that's too small. I want the kids to really enjoy this. So I go back in and it says, hey, thank you once again for your help, right? So every time we go to this king. What we'll do in the next set of videos is we need to create some power-ups and we need to create a way to end this game. So power-ups being like, this girl can jump pretty high, but like maybe maybe she can't, and we need to get power ups to do like super jumps and stuff. And maybe we need to shoot things. I don't know, or throw a trap, or we shoot something and it sends them back into their dimension, the evil mushroom dimension. Anyway, that's it for this one.